So there's been a lot of talk about Volpe and why he is not that great of a hitter in the big leagues. And after looking at his stats, even in the minor leagues, um, I'm not sure why we thought he was going to be a great hitter anyway. But nevertheless, I want to just start to show some observations as to what what positions he's getting into and why it's going to be virtually impossible for him to hit at the big league level with the positions that he's in. So, for contrast, I've got some video of JD Martinez on the right. I'm going to get into a couple positions and eventually I'll show a couple other hitters too, just to compare and contrast some positions from some more elite hitters. This swing on the left is from 2023, so it's not current, but after taking a long time to look for a side view of Volpe's swing and looking at some minor league video, some college video, even I think maybe some high school video, a lot of the same patterns are here, and I think that's part of the reason why he can't seem to get out of hitting in the low 200s. So the first thing I want to call attention to is his gather. So big shift down, back, and so you can kind of see this big shift down into his right leg. And because of this move back and down, and the head moves back and down, he's going to have a counter move here. So he's going to have to at some point come forward to swing. And so now he's got to kind of rush out there and reach a little bit. And this is kind of the beginning of some bad positions here. So I want to kind of compare that to JD here, where he kind of shifts some pressure into the back heel, but you can see him kind of immediately recenter and come forward. And we can notice this if we draw a couple lines, or maybe we can observe it a little bit cleaner. If I kind of get to the front foot down and then draw a line on his belt buckle to kind of show the angle at which it is pointing, you can kind of see a 15-degree, 17-degree angle here. Whereas when JD lands, you can kind of get a little bit more of a downhill action here. Kind of looks relatively neutral, almost like I wouldn't be able to actually draw another line on here, almost 0 degrees. I know this is a practice swing, but it gives you a pretty good idea of how the motor and how the engine is running, behind Volpe's kind of positions here. And this is going to lead to some pretty difficult things to overcome as he moves throughout the rest of his swing. Um, so that's kind of observation number one, is just a pretty bad or inefficient way to load, which is going to force him to kind of jump out there at the ball, and ultimately not be able to adjust well to moving pitches, secondary pitches, and even time up fastballs is going to be really tough for him. Um, so moving into the next observation here is, I want to kind of start to look at the arm structure here. And I will bring in Fernando Tatis Jr. here in a sec, but JD does a really good job here as well. If we were to draw kind of a different angle here, um, on kind of how his right arm structure works, we don't have to pay too much attention to the angles here because I think this is kind of a distorted view. But just that this is kind of an angle going, up and down, similar to a mountaintop, or like an A, the letter A. Whereas with JD, you kind of get the opposite angle, right? You kind of get like the letter V, right? Or the opposite. And what that's going to allow JD to do is get his elbow to start to work into the strike zone way sooner. So you could kind of say almost that JD is already like kind of in a position to enter the strike zone back behind him, behind his back hip. So um, if we were to draw kind of a line on JD's back hip here, we can see that um, his hands are starting to get in the strike zone well behind this back hip, and so it kind of lets him get in the strike zone, quite quite early. Now, if we look at Volpe's here on the left, um, as we start to move through the rest of his swing, his hand and his elbow have a really hard time getting in the strike zone, and I think it's a little distorted here, but you can see that his back arm is kind of trapped against him, and it becomes really evident through here, right? He's really got to say, oh no, how do I get this barrel to the ball, and kind of start rotating his chest and really trying to find a way there. You can kind of see this weird exit here. I think this is a home run. Um, but he doesn't really have any clean, like a clean arm structure to get to the ball. And I think that makes it really tough on him to kind of get to some pitches. And so